Alright, so this is going to be a strategy video for the map Shangri La. This strategy is designed to get you all the way until round 100, assuming you are an average zombies player. But before I get into the strategy, I do want to address that Shangri La in general is a hard map, and if you've never gotten to round 100 before in this game, I would not recommend starting with this map until you do an easier map like Kino or Ascension before moving on to this one. Now that being said, if you've ever gotten to let's say round 30 on this map without going down once, then it probably means you have potential, but it is still going to require you to put in the hours to really understand each individual strategy because Shangri La is one of those maps where, because there's no traps in this map, you're basically forced to use mid-round trade-out strats whenever you run out of ammo with the Shrink Ray. So to break it down, I'm going to be talking about the full setup, so that is what weapons and perks you will need. I'm also going to talk about how you can get perks and max ammos from the monkeys. Tracking and manipulating your drop cycles is something you should also know how to do, and the reason why I'm talking about that early on in the video is because you're going to need that for the high round strategy. Speaking of strategies, we of course have the early and high round strategy as well, mid-round trade-outs and PAP strategies, and finally the G-spawn error. So to start out with the 4 perks that you're going to need Juggernog, Quick Revive, PhD Flopper, and Stamina Up. I don't think I have to talk about Juggernog or Quick Revive, but the reason why you want PhD Flopper is because you're going to be using explosive weapons a lot during this game, and Stamina Up because for basically the entire duration of this game, you're going to be training, and when you're not training, you're going to be running around the map hitting the box for the most part. There's also one debris that you have to keep closed, and that's going to be the debris that takes you back to power from the M16 room. As far as weapon class is concerned, you're going to want Mustang and Sally's, so keep your M1911, the baby gun, and then you want to upgrade it, and then the monkey bombs. Shangri La has a unique feature where if you get a drop, sometimes monkeys will come take that drop and run away with it. Now obviously what I just said sounds like a bad thing, but when a monkey takes a drop away, it's going to change that drop every second, and once you kill the monkey, it will give you the drop that it had. The way this works is the game will generate a random drop cycle, and the monkey will keep alternating between different drops depending on what cycle was given. So let's say the order of cycle you were given was Carp, Double, Sail, Max, Nuke, and Insta-kill. The monkey is always going to start at the first drop that was in the cycle, so in this case it's going to be Carpenter. And after about 1 second, the perk is going to switch that drop into a double points. And that's going to keep repeating itself all the way until the end of the cycle, so Sail, Max, Nuke, and Insta-kill. Once the monkey gets to the last drop, it's going to just repeat the cycle right from the beginning again. So back to Carpenter again, and then it's just going to repeat this cycle exactly like before. Every single monkey in this game will always run to the exact same spot when they take a drop, and that's going to be right at the top of the stairs where the Pack-a-Punch machine is. So if you get the monkey killed before he gets up there, you're going to get whatever drop that was given at the time. But if he gets away, then you're going to lose the drop completely. So with that being said, that should answer your question as to how to get a maximo from the monkeys. All you have to do is chase after the monkey when it takes your drop, and then you shoot it with either the Sally's or the Shrink Ray once it switches the drop into a max ammo. So that's going to look something like this. You wait for the monkey to take the drop, and then you just chase him up the geyser because he's going to go up there. And then wait till he cycles through until you get a max ammo, and then you just shoot the monkey with either the Shrink Ray or the Sally's. Both are equally likely to work. If you get a drop, let's say, in the middle of the round, the best thing to do is just to wait 1 second and then throw a monkey bomb to distract the zombies, and then you just run up the geyser and kill the monkey like normal while the zombies are distracted down here by the monkey bomb. So on Shangri La, there's a trick you can do to basically get all 7 perks on this map if you really want to. It's not completely necessary that you do this. You definitely don't need 7 perks to get to round 100. Although if you can get a hold of Speed Cola or Mule Kick, then that would be helpful. So the way you get extra perks on this map is, it's going to work similar to what I said previously with getting a max ammo. And that is, you let the monkey take the drop, but the drop that he's going to steal has to be a max ammo. So let's take a look at the example drop cycle I was using, and I'll explain how getting a perk bottle works. So assuming the monkey dropped a max ammo, what will happen is, the game will place a perk bottle between a random drop and the drop cycle that was given to you. It's completely random which spot the perk bottle gets placed in, but what isn't random is that the cycle will still repeat itself after the monkey gets to the last drop in the cycle, just like how we saw with the max ammo example. So really, as long as you pay attention to which drop comes before the perk bottle in that cycle, you'll know exactly when the perk bottle is about to appear, and if you kill the monkey when that perk bottle is there, that's what will give you a free perk. Let's say that in your case, the perk bottle is placed between the fire sale and the max ammo. That means when you see the fire sale, you need to get ready to pull the trigger so that you can get the perk, because the perk bottle appears for a very short duration, so you have to time it right. So what you're going to do is first figure out where the perk bottle is placed in the cycle, and you can do that just by watching how the drops alternate, and pay attention to which drop comes before the perk bottle. So assuming you're paying attention to that, once one full cycle goes by, you should know exactly where the perk bottle is placed in the cycle, and you'll know exactly when you need to pull the trigger. And that's going to look exactly like this. You wait until you get the drop for the perk bottle, then you pull the trigger as soon as it switches to the next drop, and you should get the perk bottle. But again, if you're having trouble with this, don't worry, because you definitely don't need 7 perks to get to round 100. But if you find this easy enough to do, it's worth doing it. In the description, there will be a link to the drop cycle tracker that you will need for the high round strategy. The reason why you need to be tracking your drop cycles for this map is because ammo is going to start becoming an issue by round 60. However, by removing carpenters from the drop cycle and keeping track of your drops, you should be able to push all the way until round 70 at least, before you will need to start doing trade out strats mid-round. And even past round 70, if you're running low on ammo at the end of the round but you know you're guaranteed to get a max ammo on the next round, then you won't have to worry about trading out the shrink rate. But the only way you're going to know that answer is if you've been tracking your drop cycles, like I said, so that's why it is important. So tracking your drop cycles is really easy as long as you understand the intricacies. I can assure you that if you watch this entire clip, you'll understand everything you need to know, even if you've never heard of what a drop cycle is in your life. So assuming you're at the start of a new cycle, when you get a drop, let's say it's a double points, you want to select that drop in the cycle tracker website. What this means is that that drop has already been used up in the current cycle, and you're not going to get another one until this cycle has been completed. Now let's say you do a full horde up, you kill the horde, and you get 2 drops, a fire sale and an insta-kill. So go ahead and mark those drops down just like what you did with the double points. At this point, you only have 1 drop left in this round because you can only get 4 drops per round. So at this point, you have 3 drops left in your cycle, and you can only get 1 more. In this scenario, you have a 33% chance of getting a max ammo. However, when the next round starts up, this cycle isn't changed at all, which means because on the next round you have 4 additional drops to use, you are guaranteed to get a max ammo on the next round if you don't end up getting a max ammo on this round. But we can do better than this. Every single one of these drops can spawn regardless of any conditions. Fire sales do have an exception, and that is if the box is moved at least once, then fire sales will start spawning. However, carpenters on the other hand can be completely prevented from spawning in, which means you can take a drop away from this cycle, which is naturally going to lead to more max ammos. The way you do that is you need to make sure that less than 5 barriers are broken, and in this spot where the strategy is taking place, there are 7 windows that can be broken. However, you can make only 4 barriers broken by just putting up 1 board at the 3 windows that are in the geyser room. I will show you later on in the video exactly what you need to do to prevent that condition from being true, but for now just understand that having 4 windows broken or less will completely prevent carpenters. So assuming you do that, carpenters are now removed from the cycle, which means that you have 5 drops per cycle instead of 6. This means that in this example scenario, you have a 50% chance of getting a max ammo instead of a 33% chance. So let's say that your next drop is a max ammo. That extra 17% chance that you just made happen could have been the reason why you were lucky enough to get a max ammo. So you can see why removing carpenters from the cycle really helps. Alright, so now that you used up all 4 perks, you're going to have to wait until the next round before expecting to get your next drop. This cycle is saved exactly how it is going into the next round, so leave it as it is. Since you can't get any more drops this round, that means you no longer have to worry about keeping less than 4 windows broken for the rest of this round, as you're not going to get any more drops in this round anyway. Okay, so next round comes by and you kill a zombie and you get a nuke, which means you're now on a new cycle. This also means that you have to keep less than 5 windows broken because you're now able to get a carpenter unless you prevent the condition I just explained earlier from being true. All you have to do is continue to record your drops just like normal, and that's going to give you good estimates on if, let's say you're low on ammo at the end of the round, if you know you're going to be due for a max ammo in the next round, then you don't have to worry about trading out the shrink rate. But if you have a 50% chance of getting a max ammo in the next round, because you still have to finish up your cycle. It's up to you if you want to take that risk of potentially having to do a mid-round trade out on the next round, or you can be safe about it and get a new shrink ray at the end of the round you're currently on to take with you into the next round. If you ever get thrown off track and you don't know what your cycle is currently like because you missed a few drops by accident, that can be bad. However, there are ways to get back on track. If you ever, let's say for example, get 2 insta-kills back to back, what that means is that you got an insta-kill as your last drop on one cycle, and you got an insta-kill as your first drop on the next cycle. That means you can safely assume that your drop cycle is going to look like this. There is one more thing to talk about, and it adds on to what I was previously talking about, and that is what happens if you get a fire sale at the end of one cycle and a fire sale at the start of the next cycle. Now in game you can never get 2 fire sales back to back that spawn in. However, what ends up happening to your cycle, and you're not going to realize right away, is that you actually got a drop skip. Because you can't get a fire sale at the start of your new cycle, that drop is skipped. However, because you didn't see that fire sale spawn in, you're not going to even realize that that fire sale was skipped. So this is naturally going to throw you off course with your cycle, and you're not even going to realize that. So what can you do here? Well, let's put the real cycle and the fake cycle, what you think your cycle looks like, and let's see how we can fix this. Let's say that your next 5 drops are max double nuke insta, and then it wraps back around to a double. So by looking at the fake cycle, you can clearly see that there is a problem here, and that is, why are there 2 doubles in the same cycle? Well, that can never happen in game, and since you've already used up the double points in your cycle, you can never get double points in the same exact cycle. So that means you can safely assume that there was a drop skip, and what your cycle actually looks like is what's displayed in the real cycle. All you have to do is erase what you have selected in the cycle tracker and instead just have the double points selected, as can be seen from the second cycle here. Alright, so I know that was a lot of information to take in, but it really is going to help you if you understand this stuff so that you can play at maximum efficiency. Especially because when you track your drops this way, you can make educated decisions on whether or not it would be worth you trading out your shrink ray at the end of the round. It's not only going to save you a lot of time, but it also makes your game safer, and you're more likely to reach your goal if you think this way when playing this map. So the early round strategy is actually going to be similar to the high round strategy, except it's designed specifically to help you do safe horde ups while the zombie spawns are still slow. If you can get past this point, which would be round 45, then you're in really good standing, because after round 45, this strategy becomes incredibly easy. Every horde up you're going to do starts in this exact spot. You want to wait over here and stand just in front of the minecart track. Wait for 3 to 4 seconds, and then you want to run forward where the geyser is. And when I say run, you actually do have to run, because the zombies will end up in front of you if you take too long, but the timing is pretty lenient. Run to this exact spot, wait for the zombies to catch up, and then you're going to do a cut back to the opposite end of the room. Once you go there, do another cut back to the spot where you just came from. And now what you want to do is run up the stairs and go over to the opposite end of the corner by going around the back end of the room, just like this. Wait here for just 1 second for the zombies to catch up to you. Now you're going to circle back the other way, but you have to hug the wall when doing this so that you don't get trapped. If you do, just shoot your way out with the shrink ray. Run back to where the box is, wait for the zombies to catch up, and then you're going to circle back around where you just came from. But this time, instead of waiting, then running back where the stairs are, you're going to just hug the wall on the left, and by that point you should have the full horde together. Run about halfway up the slope and then turn around, and now you're ready to shoot the horde. You can also do extra cutbacks if you want, because in my case the horde was not really together that well. In order to kill the horde, throw a Semtex at this spot, then wait until the zombies are directly over it, and then you shoot them with the shrink ray. If you do those 3 steps correctly, you shouldn't have any problems with some of the zombies surviving from the Semtex explosion. If you ever run out of Semtex grenades, all you have to do is run back and get them, and you can kill the horde and run back to the M16 room at the same time. You do have enough time to run over there before the zombies start spawning again. The Shrink Ray and Sally combo works out very similarly, except instead of using the Semtex, you're going to shrink the horde, then switch to Mustang and Sally's and shoot in the center of where the zombies are, and that should kill them all in one shot. The high round strategy is going to be a lot easier, but realistically speaking, you can't do this strategy before round 45. Start at the same spot as the early round strategy, wait 3 to 4 seconds, and then you're going to run to the geyser. Wait here for the zombies to catch up to you, and then you're going to do a cut back to the opposite end of the room, just like with the other strategy. Now all you have to do is cut back to the geyser once again, and then you're just going to repeat the same thing. You're going to cut back to the other side of the room, just like you did before, and then cut back one more time. Now because I'm on round 78, the zombie spawns are already maxed out, which means by this point, after you do about 4 to 5 cutbacks, you should already have the entire horde with you. All you have to do now is either use the Semtex combo or the Sally combo, then run back to the M16 room and repeat. And that's it. It literally is one of the easiest training strategies. So with that, it goes to show you that getting to round 45 is the hardest part about this map. After round 45, it starts to get really easy. So earlier we talked about how removing carpenters from the drop cycle can help you in the long run. Now I'm going to show you an easy way of doing that. All you have to do is first get a horde up, then put up one board and one rock on each of the following windows, and assuming that there are no other windows broken anywhere else on the map, then this will prevent carpenters, because the only ones that will be broken are the ones that are behind you in the Semtex room and M16 room. If there are any other broken windows around the map, then you're going to have to put up at least one board on those as well. But that's something you're not going to have to do very often, because for the most part, you're going to be staying here for a majority of the game. If you are unsure though, it's always good to double check. The reason why you want to be doing this after round 60 is because after round 60, in the worst possible drop cycle, you will run out of ammo before getting a max ammo. However, if you never let any carpenters drop, then you can keep doing full horde ups until at least round 70 before needing to rely on mid-round trade out strats. But before round 60, it's too early to be doing this, so don't waste your time. Now for the napalm zombie, if you're standing over at the M16 room when he spawns in, he's going to spawn in right behind you. What you can do is just do a horde up like you normally would, then either shrink the napalm zombie and kill him with the Sallies or Semtex, or you can simply just run past him on your way back when he explodes and he's going to kill the entire horde of zombies for you. But you want to be careful about that, because if you get slapped twice or more, then you're going to go down if the napalm zombie explodes next to you. So if you're running back when he is there and you get slapped by a zombie and there's like no other way out, the best thing to do is just to shrink him with the shrink ray, and then that's going to greatly reduce the amount of damage he inflicts on you. The shrieker zombie you don't have to worry about at all. When he spawns in, you can kill him with the rest of the horde as if he wasn't even there. And that's it. He's really no big deal. Even when he blinds you, you can still see enough details on the screen to know where you're going and where the zombies are at. Anytime you are doing a trade out mid-round, it's always going to start with the same exact step, no matter where the box is, and that is, you want to damage the horde of zombies to prevent respawners, so either use a bullet-based weapon or Semtex grenades. I would also highly advise not using the geysers on this map to move between box locations, because it can happen sometimes where the zombies get stuck, and if that happens, they will all respawn, which spreads them all out, which can cause a lot of problems. I would also, by about round 70, when ammo starts to become a problem for you, swap out your Mustang and Sallies and then instead replace it with a crossbow so that you can do these safer. Now if you're lucky enough to get a mule kick, then you can keep Mustang and Sallies and just instead have a crossbow as a third gun. Anytime you leave this room to go hit the box elsewhere, you want to make sure that you take your time walking up the tunnel. Otherwise, what will happen is the zombies will go up the geyser and half of them will be in front of you up where the debris is back to spawn. So cutting to the point where that box is actually in the spawn room for me, you want to wait for the zombies to catch up and then start circling counterclockwise around the first room. When you head back around, you want to run next to the quick revive machine on the way back to the box. But that's not something you have to do until you start actually hitting the box. Okay, so this strategy is pretty simple. The only thing you really need to be careful of is you want to make sure you take your time going around this corner. Otherwise, you're going to get zombies in front of you, and that can really screw you over. So just Hit the box, circle around, don't worry, you have plenty of time to get your weapon, and then rinse and repeat. And every now and then you're also going to want to shoot the zombies with a bullet-based weapon, or Semtex if you have any, because you want to make sure that none of them respawn. I'm going to show about 30 more seconds of gameplay, and then we're going to talk about the next location. Now for the waterfall, you can run right over there as soon as the box moves, but I don't recommend taking the mud maze. What you can do instead is just run right through it, because the zombies will be blocked off briefly by the bamboo trap anyway. So once you get to the waterfall, run towards where Mule Kick is and do a few circles, and then you're going to start circling around where the rock is. But you really want to make sure you take your time going around that rock, because if you rush it, the zombies will cut through that corner, and that's actually how I went down one time. One of my previous attempts, which got to round 72, the reason why I died was because of that. So here's going to be about 1 minute of footage just for your personal reference, and then we'll talk about the next location. Getting the power box location is easily done just by taking this route just like I do here. Again, I will stress though, do not take the geyser down to this area, so if you are for example running from spawn to power, take the long way around. It may sound silly to do that, but the zombies get stuck in that geyser so often when they are horded together, so this really is the best way of doing it. For this box, you want to run counterclockwise around where the papstone is and deadshot. Hit the box whenever you circle around to it, and then pick up your weapon after you come back around the second time. And that's it. So here's your extra minute of gameplay just for reference. The AK-74U room is the easiest one to be trading at, but when you're running down the tunnel, you want to make sure that you don't run too far ahead of the zombies, or half of them will jump down the geyser and the other half will come from the tunnel, which means you'll have zombies entering the room from 2 different directions, which is bad. Now as far as circling around this room, it's very easy. You're just doing banana loops, hitting the box whenever you walk past it, and picking up your weapon after you come back around the second time. So with that, once again, here's your 1 minute of gameplay for reference. So for popping your gun mid-round, it's going to be similar to the methods I showed you on moving between box locations mid-round. The only difference is you're going to be stepping on the stone instead. So for the stones that are in the tunnel and spawn, those are literally on the way to the pap machine anyway, so I don't have to talk about them, but make sure, just like with running to the box at spawn, you want to make sure that you take your time running up the tunnel, or else the zombies will take the geyser and half of them will be in front of you at the debris that takes you to spawn. For the stone that's at the MP5, you just want to do a horde up where the waterfall is, then on your way back, step on the stone. And then for the stone at power, you have to take the long way around to it and do a horde up at the power room, and then just run back to the pap machine. But make sure you do not take the geysers, as we talked about with doing the trade-out strategies, because they tend to get stuck there, and when the zombies get stuck, they will respawn, and then they're all going to be spread all over the map around you. So the G-spawn error is something that also has to be talked about. The G-spawn error is the most common type of error you can get on this map, and what it's caused from is when you allow a baby zombie to regrow. After about 400 regrowers, your game is inevitably going to get that error. If you want to test that out for yourself, load up the strat tester mod and just keep shrinking the zombies and keep letting them regrow, and you're going to get the error in about 5 minutes or less. Yeah, that's how much of an annoyance this error is. The best way to prevent a zombie from regrowing is you never want to allow a zombie to regrow in the first place. So let's say you get cornered or stuck and you have to shoot your way out with a shrink ray. Turn around and shoot your Mustang and Sallies to prevent those zombies from regrowing. When you're doing full horde ups, you want to check to make sure that there were no babies that survived before running back to the M16 room. Because again, the zombies regrowing is what slowly builds up to the G-spawn error. So you can see I waited there for just a second when the zombies died just to make sure that there were no zombies that survived, otherwise they're going to regrow. And that's it. That's everything you're going to need to know to get to round 100 on this map. This map is difficult in general, so do expect some frustration. However, just like with most things in life, as long as you put in the effort, anything is possible. If you do have any questions about this strategy, please feel free to leave a comment and I'll be happy to respond. Have a great rest of your day.